Hey guys, how's it going? In today's video, I just wanted to talk about Gennady Golovkin's next possible opponent, or next possible matchup against Ryoto Murata. According to Coppinger, Golovkin and Murata's team have reached an agreement or a deal to fight in late December. I believe it's the 28th of December in Japan. It's not official, but they've reached an agreement. So I just wanted to give my early thoughts and opinions on this matchup. And in my opinion, I think there should be a pretty routine victory for Golovkin. Now, Murata is no pushover. He's no joke. He's a tough opponent, but he's showed in his two losses against Hassan Ndam and Rob Brandt that he can be outboxed. He lost a split decision to Hassan Ndam. He did redeem that with a rematch, and same with the Rob Brandt fight. I think he lost a unanimous decision, and he came back and he stopped Rob Brandt in like the second round in the rematch. But in those two losses, look, he showed how to beat him, and if Golovkin chooses to beat him that way, he definitely can, because they showed, look, if you have a good jab and a decent bit of footwork and lateral movement and a back foot game, you can outbox Ryoto Murata. Look, he lacks a bit of head movement, in my opinion. He's kind of easy to hit. However, he is tough and durable and pretty relentless. You know, he seems pretty durable, but he hasn't fought somebody that can hit like Gennady Golovkin. And look, I think it's a bad matchup for Murata, in my opinion, because when you lack a bit of head movement and you kind of can be outboxed pretty comfortably, I think that's a bad thing to go in there against a guy like Golovkin. It could end up being almost like a Curtis Stevens type fight, where he just bludgeons you and pulverizes you for as long as you can last. And like I say, with Murata, he seems to be pretty durable, so I can see him lasting to the mid to late rounds and taking quite a brutal beating at the hands of Golovkin in this fight. Because look, like I say, when you lack a bit of head movement, that's going to be problems against Golovkin, because he has one of the best jabs in the sport. And then Ndam and Brandt showed that if you have a good jab, that's going to cause Murata a lot of problems. And Golovkin's jab is probably still the best jab in the sport to this day, even though he's getting close to 40 years of age. He's still got probably got the best jab in the sport still to this day, like I say. And his jab is not just a jab that keeps you off and sets up other stuff. He can use that type of jab if he wants to, but he's almost got that Vladimir Klitschko type jab where he can knock you down with the jab. I think he did knock down his last opponent, Seremeta, with the jab, and he's knocked down a few guys with the jab throughout his career. His jab is a power punch pretty much. So if you're going to be getting hit with a lot of jabs by Golovkin, you're going to wake up in a world of pain the next morning. And look, I can see this fight playing out two different ways. I mean, Golovkin can choose to fight on the back foot if he wants to, with Murata pressing forwards, because that's a possibility if he wants to box smart, now that he's boxing with his new coach. I think, what is it, Banks is his new coach, I believe. If he chooses to box on the back foot, because he's getting older, he might be wanting to take less damage. Earlier in his career, he was much more tenacious and much more ruthless. He didn't really care about taking a shot to give a shot, even though his defense was still good early in his career. But he knew if he exchanges shots with you, he's going to get the better of it, and he's probably going to put you down. But later in his career, he seems to be a bit more cautious, and he's boxing a bit more from range. So if he chooses to box at distance and on the back foot, with Murata being hyper aggressive, I could see him outboxing Murata and breaking him down and breaking him up with the jabs and long right hands and left hooks, and getting a mid to late round stoppage. Or if Murata comes out trying to be aggressive with Golovkin, and Golovkin says, look, I don't respect you yet, you haven't earned my respect, and he stands his ground and he starts to trade, or if he does presses Murata back, that's another option in this fight, because I'm not sure if Murata can fight on the back foot, and if Golovkin chooses to push him back, the fight could end early. So either way, I see Golovkin winning this fight by a stoppage, but maybe I'm overlooking Murata, because He did win an Olympic gold medal at the Olympics, so you can't really knock that as in the sport of boxing, because you don't win an Olympic gold medal if you can't box. So he obviously has some pretty good level of boxing skills, but in the pros it seems to be that he's he's almost maybe settled into more of a pro style where he's not too interested in scoring points, but rather trying to be aggressive and maybe land harder shots, and therefore he's getting hit a bit more and seems to lack a bit of head movement. But look, you can't forget about your boxing skills, and unfortunately it looks like he's gone away from that a bit, because as you saw in the Brandt fight and the Ndam fight, his boxing skills didn't look too great, and he seems to be more of a bit of a brawler and a slugger lately. So if you're going to adopt that style against Golovkin, it could end up being, like I say, a Curtis Stevens type of fight, or a David Lemieux fight as well, where you get bludgeoned with the jab and power shots, and you don't have the head movement and footwork to close the distance on Golovkin. Because Golovkin's footwork is tremendous, and his jab is tremendous as well, so it's very hard to close the distance on him. We saw Canelo Alvarez try and close the distance on Golovkin in the rematch, and he couldn't do it. He couldn't back Golovkin onto the ropes, and he couldn't close the distance on Golovkin. He spent the night on the end of a Golovkin studding jab. It was a hard night for Canelo Alvarez. Both fights were real hard nights for him. But we know how that played out in the end, unfortunately. But it is what it is. There, we know what happened. But yeah, look, I'm looking forward to this fight for Golovkin. Like I said, I think it should be a pretty routine victory for him. I see him stopping Murata in the mid to late rounds. I think it'll be an entertaining fight, but I think it'll be a one-sided fight as well. And hopefully after this, maybe we get to see Golovkin fight Demetrius Andrade. I think that'd be a nice fight for him to collect another belt, and I'd be picking Golovkin in that fight to stop Andrade as well. We saw in the Liam Williams fight that Andrade, he can't really keep a guy off of him too well that's applying relentless pressure on him. Fortunately for him, he had a very kind referee in America in that fight that didn't deduct any points for Andrade when he was holding excessively in that fight. He got hurt badly late in that fight as well. He got knocked into the ropes, almost knocked down, and the ref allowed him to continuously hold probably the last 6 rounds. But so I'd be picking Golovkin to win the fight against Andrade as well. But I wouldn't mind seeing him fight Billy Joe as well, if Billy Joe wants to come back down to middleweight, which is the division he should be fighting in. I'd like to see him and Billy Joe go at it too. That'd be a good fight. But yeah, look, I see Golovkin stopping Murata. If the fight takes place at the end of the year, let me know how you guys see the fight going if this fight takes place. Let me know in the comment section below. Thanks for listening, guys. Talk to you guys again soon. Cheers.